In the cold, silent void of space, the alien vessel Zorath hummed with quiet confidence. Commander Threx of the Zalorian Empire gazed at a shimmering blue marble on the holographic screen. Earth, he sneered. Such a weak-looking world. Its people fight amongst themselves, destroying their own land. They will be easy prey. His officers murmured in agreement. For generations, the Zalorians had been the galaxy's apex predators, conquering civilizations and stripping them bare. They believed they were invincible. This time, however, they were profoundly wrong. Down on that small blue planet, humanity was blissfully unaware of the cosmic eyes watching them. Life continued in its chaotic, beautiful rhythm, wars and peace talks, cities aglow with dreams. But deep within the planet's digital bloodstream, something was stirring. Strange signals flickered through the communication networks. First static, then patterns, then a voice. At a NASA Deep Space Center, Dr. Helen Carter's heart hammered against her ribs as she stared at the data. "This isn't random noise," she breathed. "Someone's trying to talk to us." The decoded signal sent a chill through the room. The message was clear, cold, and utterly terrifying. "We are coming, Neil, and you may survive." An emergency UN meeting stretched through a sleepless night. The evidence was undeniable. Satellite images showed massive energy signatures near the moon. Something was on its way. Panic was the first reaction, a tidal wave of fear that swept the globe. But then, something incredible happened. Humanity, a species fractured by centuries of conflict, began to unite. Old enemies shared resources. Scientists, soldiers, and leaders from every corner of the globe rallied under a single defiant banner: Defend Earth. For the first time in history, we stood as one. Meanwhile, orbiting the moon, the Zalorian fleet prepared for what they believed would be an effortless invasion. "Humans are primitive," Commander Threx declared. "They still use bullets and steel. Their ships can't even leave their own system." His second-in-command, a younger officer named Varek, hesitated. "Sir, the data shows rapid human advancement. Should we not reconsider?" Threx cut him off with a wave. "Silence. They are nothing but animals with fire sticks. We will crush them within hours." But Varek's gaze remained fixed on the data, on the strange energy readings blooming across Earth's surface. "Sir, they are building something," he whispered. 3 days later, the Zalorian fleet descended into Earth's atmosphere, expecting to be met with chaos and fear. Instead, they found an eerie silence. The cities were dark and empty. There was no resistance, no desperate last stand, just quiet. Then the sky ignited. From hidden silos buried deep beneath the continents, hundreds of missiles roared into the heavens. A swarm of human-built drones, a storm of steel and fire, filled the air. Our own satellites, reverse-engineered from stolen alien tech in record time, fired brilliant bursts of plasma. The Zalorians were stunned. How could these primitive creatures have learned so fast? Within minutes, their communications were jammed, their shields flickering and failing. One of their capital ships blossomed into a silent, fiery rose, then another. On the ground, Dr. Carter watched the data pour in. "They underestimated us," she whispered, a fierce pride in her voice. In orbit, Commander Threx screamed in fury as his main console exploded. "Impossible! They can't fight back! They are only—" His final words were swallowed by a massive shockwave that tore through his crippled fleet. As the shattered invaders limped back into the darkness of space, a message was broadcast from Earth. It was short, simple, and undeniably human. "This is Earth. Don't come back." Aboard one of the retreating ships, the young officer, Varek, looked back at the planet that had so thoroughly humbled them. He stared at the distant, burning stars, and finally understood a fundamental truth of the universe. In a voice filled with newfound fear and respect, he whispered, "Now I understand. Why you don't mess with humans. The great battle above was over, but down here the world was far from calm. Smoke still billowed from the wreckage of alien ships. half submerged in our oceans and half buried in our deserts. The sky, once blue, was now a canvas streaked with burning metal, remnants of a war we never asked for. For the first time in history, Earth had won a war not against itself but against an empire from the stars. But victory had a price. At NASA's Global Defense Center, Dr. Helen Carter stared at the data feed, her face illuminated by the screen. "We stopped them," she whispered, but her voice held no triumph. "But they will come back." General Marcus Reed, head of the Earth Defense Command, stood beside her, a silhouette of military resolve. A scar across his face, a relic of old human conflicts, seemed to mock this new, fragile unity. "They thought we were weak," he said, his voice a low rumble. "Now they know what happens when humans fight together." The room was heavy with a shared, unspoken truth. This was only the beginning. Far, far away, in the cold emptiness of deep space, the Zalorian flagship drifted like a wounded beast. Smoke choked its corridors, systems flickered on the edge of failure, and the crew spoke in hushed, fearful tones. Commander Threx, once the very image of Imperial pride, now sat broken in his command chair. His armor was cracked, his spirit shattered. How did they do this?" he muttered to the uncaring void. "How did a young, primitive species defeat us?" No one dared to answer. A young officer, Varek, watched his commander, his mind replaying the scenes of battle. He remembered the burning Earth, the terrifyingly coordinated human attack, the sheer unexpected unity that had dismantled their best strategies. "Commander," Varek said, his voice steady despite the chaos, "we must warn the High Council. If they attack again without understanding, they will lose everything." Threx's head snapped up, his eyes blazing with fury. "You dare question me again, Varek?" But before he could unleash his rage, the ship shuddered violently. A human-made satellite, a forgotten piece of orbital debris, had locked onto them. It fired a single tracking pulse, a digital shot across the bow. It was a warning. For the first time in their glorious history, the Zalorians ran. Back on Earth, the world erupted in celebration. Fireworks lit up the night skies of every city. News networks declared it the day humanity united. But while the masses cheered, a select few worked in silence. Deep underground in a hidden research facility, a team of scientists gathered around the remains of a fallen Zalorian fighter. Its hull wasn't just metal, it was smooth, almost alive, rippling like liquid mercury under the lab lights. "This is beyond anything we've ever seen," Dr. Carter breathed, her hand hovering over the alien surface. "If we can understand this technology, we could change everything." A young engineer, Amir Patel, looked on nervously. "Change everything," he repeated, "or destroy ourselves trying." Dr. Carter didn't reply. Her eyes held a fierce determination, but beneath it, a flicker of fear. A week later, the strangeness began. In the Pacific, the massive crater left by a crashed alien ship started to glow at night, a mysterious blue light pulsing from the depths. Fishermen told stories of eerie sounds beneath the waves, like whispers echoing from the abyss. Satellites began detecting bizarre energy waves emanating from beneath the sea. General Reed's order was immediate. "Investigate. This is not over. We need to know what's happening down there." Meanwhile, light years away, the Zalorian High Council convened in their grand hall, a space of crystal walls and shimmering air. Threx stood before them, a shamed soldier reporting his failure. "You failed us," a counselor hissed, their voice dripping with contempt. "A primitive world defeated the great Zalorian Empire?" Threx bowed his head. "I underestimated them. They fight not for power, but for survival, and that makes them dangerous." The counselor leaned forward, his eyes burning like hot coals. "Then we will crush their world completely. Prepare the fleet." Suddenly Varek stepped forward, shattering all protocol. "Wait. You cannot simply attack again. You don't understand them. Humans adapt faster than any race I have ever seen. A second attack could be our end." The hall fell into a stunned silence. Then, the head of the council spoke, his tone as cold and vast as space itself. Then you, Varric, will lead the next mission. You will go to them. You will study them, learn their strengths and their weaknesses. Varric froze. And if I refuse? Then you die with them, the counselor replied without a trace of emotion. As the meeting concluded, Varric stared at a holographic image of Earth, a vibrant blue and white sphere floating in the air. He felt a strange new emotion stirring within him, respect and a profound sense of fear. Quietly, he whispered to himself, a realization dawning. Humans are not just survivors. They are something else entirely. The waves of the Pacific crashed against the dark waters. To the naked eye, it was just another serene, quiet night. But far below the surface, something ancient had stirred from its slumber. Deep at the bottom of the ocean, the remains of a Zalorian warship lay half buried in the sand. Its engines were long dead, yet a faint blue glow pulsed from within, beating like a silent mechanical heart. Inside the wreckage, alien technology still hummed with life, machines that could rebuild, adapt, and learn. On the deck of the research vessel Odyssey, Dr. Helen Carter stared into the Black Sea. The wind was cold, and the ocean felt endless. Her team had been scanning the mysterious underwater crater for days, picking up increasingly strange readings. "Ma'am," said Amir Patel, a brilliant young engineer, his voice tense. "The signal's getting stronger every hour. It's almost like it's calling out to something." Dr. Carter frowned, her gaze fixed on the dark water. "Calling who?" Before Amir could even hazard a guess, the radar shrieked to life, a sharp, insistent tone filling the bridge. "Something's moving down there," the operator called out, his voice tight with alarm. "And it's big." Just then, the lights on the ship flickered violently. Then, from the abyssal depths, a blinding blue light shot upward, slicing through the water like a beacon. Everyone on deck froze, their breath caught in their throats. Out of the deep rose a massive structure, not a ship, not a rock, but something that seemed alive. It looked like a fortress made of shifting liquid metal, its form changing as it ascended. "Dear God," whispered Dr. Carter, her eyes wide with disbelief. "It's repairing itself." Miles away at the Earth Defense Command headquarters, General Reed watched the live footage on a massive screen, his face a mask of grim determination. "What am I looking at?" he demanded. "Unknown object, sir," a technician replied, his fingers flying across a keyboard. "Energy readings are completely off the scale. It appears to be rebuilding itself using minerals from the ocean. We think it's some kind of alien nanotechnology." Reed slammed his fist on the console. "Destroy it before it's too late." But it was already too late. Missiles launched from the nearest naval base screamed toward the object, only to dissolve into nothing before impact, absorbed seamlessly into the glowing structure. It was learning, adapting to their every move. Meanwhile, light years away, Varric prepared for a new mission. He stood inside a small, sleek stealth ship, a vessel designed for silence and observation. Unlike the warmonger Threx, Varric had no desire for glory. He sought only answers. The Council's final command echoed in his mind. Observe them, understand them, find a way to end them. But deep within him, a seed of doubt had taken root. He had witnessed humanity's fighting spirit firsthand, their courage and weakness, their unity and fear. He wasn't so sure they could be defeated at all. 3 days later, Varric's ship entered Earth's orbit, perfectly cloaked and invisible to all human sensors. He activated his scanner, searching for the source of the strange energy signals that had drawn his attention. And there it was, the same energy pulse he'd been tracking emanating from Earth's ocean. The signature was unmistakable. It was the lost Zalorian warship. Varric's eyes widened in shock. It survived. He had no choice. He guided his ship through the clouds and plunged into the sea, descending into the deep trench where the eerie light still glowed. Down below, Dr. Carter's team was already there, using a small submersible to get a closer look at the alien site. Through the thick glass, she saw the massive metallic structure pulsating like a living creature. "It's responding to us," Amir said, his voice a mix of awe and terror. The closer we get, the stronger the readings become. Then, something truly unexpected happened. The alien metal began to shift, forming intricate shapes that almost looked like letters. A message appeared across its surface in brilliant blue light. "Do not fear. We seek the one who watches." The crew exchanged bewildered glances. "Who watches?" Dr. Carter asked quietly, her mind racing. At that exact moment, Varick's ship entered the active zone. The alien structure reacted instantly, its calm blue lights flashing to an aggressive, menacing red. "Warning detected," Varick muttered to himself. "It senses me." Suddenly, a powerful surge of energy slammed into his ship, disabling his cloaking device. His vessel materialized out of nowhere, right in front of the human submersible. Dr. Carter gasped. "There's something else down here. Another ship." Amir's hands trembled as he stared at the alien craft. "It's not one of ours." For a long, silent moment, the two sides stared at each other through layers of glass and water, human and alien, face to face in the crushing depths. Dr. Carter whispered, a realization dawning on her. This isn't an attack. He's watching us." Inside his cockpit, Varick watched her too. He could see the fear in her eyes, but also the same incredible strength he'd seen during the war. He whispered to himself, "You still don't know what you've awakened." The ocean itself began to tremble violently. The glowing alien fortress started to rise again, this time breaking the surface of the water. Massive waves crashed around it, and thunder roared in the distance. "Everyone, pull back, now!" Dr. Carter shouted into her comms. Varick fought to stabilize his ship, but the current was too powerful. The ocean pulled both vessels, human and Zalorian, toward the rising structure, straight into the heart of the unknown. As the blinding light swallowed them both, only one thought echoed in Varick's mind. Maybe. The real danger isn't humans or Zalorians. Maybe it's what sleeps beneath them both. The sea boiled. Waves surged like mountains as the alien fortress heaved itself from the deep ocean floor. Lightning tore across the sky, turning the dark night into a series of blinding flashes. Inside, the human submersible spun wildly, its alarms screaming in protest. Dr. Helen Carter clung to her seat, her voice strained as she yelled, "Stabilize it! We're being pulled in!" Her co-pilot, Amir Patel, fought the thrusters, but it was useless. The ocean itself seemed to have a will of its own, dragging them mercilessly toward the colossal, glowing structure. And then, everything went black. When Dr. Carter's eyes fluttered open, she wasn't underwater anymore. She was lying on a cold metallic floor, bathed in a dim, pulsing blue light. Her own breathing echoed in the vast, unnerving silence. "Amir?" she called out, her voice shaky. There was no answer. As she slowly pushed herself up, a chilling realization washed over her. She wasn't alone. Standing just a few meters away was a tall, imposing figure, clad in dark armor. His skin was unnaturally pale, and his eyes shone with a brilliant silver light. It was Varick, the Zalorian commander. For a long, tense moment, they just stared at each other, human and alien, both prisoners in the same mysterious place. "Where are we?" Dr. Carter finally asked, unable to keep the tremble from her voice. Varick's gaze swept across the chamber, scanning the strange walls that pulsed with light like living veins. "This isn't my ship," he said slowly, his voice a low rumble. "It's something else. Something older." Just then, the walls around them shifted, glowing brighter. A deep, resonant voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't mechanical, not human, but ancient and powerful. "Welcome, children of the stars." Dr. Carter froze, her blood running cold. "Did you hear that?" Varick gave a slight nod, his silver eyes wide. "It spoke in your language, but it's not Zalorian." The light in the room began to coalesce, forming vivid holographic images, planets, stars, and galaxies scarred by war. Both of them watched, captivated, as visions of ancient cosmic battles filled the air around them. "Before your kind, there was another," the voice explained. "A race that seeded life across the stars, including Earth." Dr. Carter's heart pounded in her chest. You mean humans were created? Created, guided, and then abandoned, the voice continued. But unlike the others, you evolved beyond control. You learned chaos, and from it you found strength. Varric's eyes widened in disbelief. You're saying humans are part of the same ancient design as us? Yes, the voice confirmed. Both human and Zalorian are offspring of the same origin. You were meant to unite, not destroy each other. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The entire fortress trembled as powerful energy waves rippled through it. Outside, the ocean roared louder than thunder. Dr. Carter grabbed a nearby handle to steady herself. What's happening? Varric's scanner beeped rapidly. Something is waking up. There's a core inside this structure, a machine mind that has been dormant for millions of years. I am the Guardian, the voice boomed. My purpose was to protect this world until humanity was ready. Ready for what? Dr. Carter demanded, her fear turning to defiance. For the return. Varric turned to her, his expression grim. The Zalorians won't stop. My people will come again. They'll bring a full war fleet this time. Dr. Carter looked at the glowing core now forming in front of them, a sphere of pure energy that pulsed with unimaginable power. If this Guardian is real, maybe it can help us. But before she could say more, the sphere flared. A blinding light consumed the chamber and a holographic figure appeared, human-shaped but made of pure light. It looked at Dr. Carter and Varric, its gaze seeming to pierce their very souls. You both carry the same blood. Human. Zalorian. You are fragments of one creation. Varric frowned, shaking his head. That's impossible. It is the truth. You were divided long ago to test evolution. One branch became warriors of the stars, the other, survivors of chaos. Dr. Carter whispered, awestruck. So, we're like long-lost siblings? The being of light nodded slowly. And now, you must face the true enemy, the ones who destroyed the ancients. At that moment, alarms shrieked through the fortress again. The Guardian's voice grew distorted, flickering like a dying flame. They are near. The hunters have found this world. The light vanished, plunging the chamber back into near darkness. Dr. Carter whirled to face Varric. Hunters? What does that mean? Varric's face went pale, a feat she wouldn't have thought possible. A genuine fear flickered in his silver eyes. The hunters are real, a myth, a legend even the Zalorian Empire fears. They don't conquer. They erase entire civilizations. He looked toward the ceiling where a sinister red glow began to spread like a stain. They've found Earth. Just then, Dr. Carter's radio crackled to life for the first time. Dr. Carter, this is Command. We're detecting multiple unidentified ships entering orbit. They're not Zalorian. She looked at Varric, her own fear mirroring his. This is it, isn't it? Varric nodded grimly. Your people fought mine and survived, but this is different. If the hunters have come, the fortress shook again, and a deep, guttural roar echoed from above. Both of them looked up as cracks of brilliant, terrifying light split across the ceiling. Prepare yourselves, the Guardian's fading voice whispered. The true test of humanity begins now. The sky above us turned blood red. 1,000 burning embers appeared in orbit, but they weren't stars or satellites. They were ships. The hunters had arrived. Each vessel was a living nightmare, black and claw-shaped, tearing through the fabric of space. They moved in an unnerving silence, absorbing all light, feeding on energy itself. Down here on Earth, alarms screamed across every military base. We had barely started to heal from one war, and now we were facing an apocalypse. In a hidden fortress deep beneath the ocean, Dr. Helen Carter and Varric, a former enemy turned ally, stood before the pulsing core of a machine called the Guardian. The air thrummed as new energy signatures flooded the screens. They're here. Varric's voice was a low whisper. The hunters. Dr. Carter stared at the impossible data. We can't fight that. They're everywhere. Varric turned to her, his gaze intense. You humans have done the impossible before. You defeated us. Dr. Carter frowned. That was different. We understood you. These things, they don't talk, Varric cut in. They don't negotiate. They consume. In orbit, our defense grid opened fire. A storm of missiles, railgun slugs, and plasma beams lit up the void. But every single shot that struck a hunter ship was simply absorbed. The energy vanished like water into sand. They're feeding on our attacks! A frantic voice screamed over the comms at command. General Reed slammed his fist on the control table. Cease fire. Now. He looked to the live feed from the ocean base. Doctor, whatever that Guardian is, we need it online. Now. Deep below the waves, the Guardian's voice echoed through the fortress, a voice that was ancient and powerful. The hunters come for what was mine. They wish to erase my creation. Dr. Carter shouted back, Then help us stop them. My power is weak, the Guardian replied. I need a living source, one who carries both the ancient codes. Varric's eyes narrowed. Both codes? The Guardian's light focused on him. You, Zalorian, and you, human. Together, your combined DNA holds the key. Dr. Carter looked horrified. You want to merge our energy? That's dangerous, the Guardian finished. But it is the only way. At that moment, the first hunter ships breached our atmosphere. Colossal beams of red energy struck the planet, vaporizing entire city blocks. Power grids failed, plunging continents into darkness. We fought back with everything we had, jets, tanks, and mechs built from the very tech we'd stolen from Varric's people. But for every hunter we shot down, 2 more took its place. Back in the fortress, the chamber walls began to glow with immense power. Dr. Carter and Varric stood at the heart of the Guardian S-Core as tendrils of pure light reached for them. Ready? Dr. Carter whispered, her voice trembling. Varric gave a firm nod. For Earth. The energy surged, wrapping around them both, a brilliant blue for human, a shimmering silver for Zalorian, and fused into a blinding storm of white light. The entire fortress roared like a living beast waking from a million-year slumber. Suddenly, a massive column of blue energy erupted from the ocean surface, shooting into the sky and tearing a hunter ship apart instantly. On the command bridge, General Reed stared, speechless. What in the hell was that? A new voice came over the comms. It was Dr. Carter's, but deeper, resonant with power. This is Carter. The Guardian is awake. Her eyes now glowed with a fierce blue light. She and Varric stood as one, their forms fused with energy, the new living core of the Guardian. You are one. The Guardian's voice spoke through them. You are creation and destruction, the true power of unity. The fortress itself began to rise from the depths, its surface shimmering as massive energy cannons formed from its structure. The thousands of hunter ships turned to face this new threat. But this time, Earth was ready. A storm of pure energy exploded from the fortress, striking dozens of ships at once, ripping through their black hulls like fire through paper. The sky became a dazzling, terrifying battlefield of light and shadow. Dr. Carter and Varric felt the strength of 2 species flowing through them, a power beyond anything they could have imagined. But even as they fought, Varric sensed something else, a shadow moving behind the hunter fleet. He stared into the depths of space and whispered, They're not alone. Dr. Carter's voice sounded faint. What do you mean? A new signal blared on the sensors, bigger than the entire fleet combined. It was impossibly massive, ancient, and utterly silent. The Guardian's voice trembled for the very first time. It cannot be. The Devourer has awakened. The fortress lights flickered. The ocean began to churn violently. The sky darkened until even the lightning from their battle vanished. Dr. Carter gasped, feeling the power drain. What's happening? Varric looked up, his voice shaking with a primal fear. The real enemy is here.